Hi everyone, it's me, New York vocalist Benita Charles. I'm here in the beautiful Battery City Park in New York City. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous evening. We're going into the evening, early evening. I want to show you the view I'm looking at. Look at that view. Right on the water, right in the financial district. It's Battery City Park. It's gorgeous. It's a very nice evening. Not too hot, not too cold. It's just beautiful. Hi Justice, how are you? I'm at Battery City Park. I'm just showing everyone the view. Beautiful evening here tonight, right on the water. It's gorgeous. So this is Singing Tips. Hi everyone. Isn't it gorgeous, right? And you know what? The weather is great. It's just a nice breeze, not too hot, not too cold. It's awesome. So I hope you guys are having a great evening. How are you doing? Are you having a good night? It's awesome. It's beautiful here where I am. So this is Singing Tips. I'm your host, Benita Charles. Hi there, lovely. How are you? I'm so glad your baby's doing better. Hope he recovers and rests well. So so we are here at Singing Tips. I'm your host, Benita Charles, New York vocalist. And it's a beautiful evening here in New York City. Where are you right now? Hi Tim, how are you? Where are you? Tell me where you are. What city are you in right now? I'm here at New York City in Battery City Park. It's gorgeous on the water. It's just a nice breeze. It is incredible. I love it. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. So welcome everyone that's here. This is a weekly show I do every week. It's for beginner singers, but I feel like there's so many more people besides singers here. But so this is tips in terms of wanting to be a professional singer for beginner young singers. And so I do every week. I give tips. So far I've given 10 tips. And so this is a recap show. So this is a show where I'm going to go through the 10 tips that I gave previously in previous weeks, just so we can get a refresh. And these 10 tips were part of your talent. So what we're doing is we're dividing the tips into sections. So the first 10 tips were building your voice, your talent. The next tips that we're going to be talking about is actual performing in front of an audience. So all those tips going forward are going to be in terms of performing in front of an audience. So, but the last 10 tips that we did was all about your voice. It was all about building yourself up. So we're going to go through the 10 tips and just to kind of give a refresh and a recap. So how is everyone today? I see we have some people join. If you're just joining, this is Singing Tips by me, New York vocalist Benita Charles. And I'm giving tips to singers to become a professional singer. And the tips are divided into sections. We just did 10 tips. I can't believe it's been that many tips over a 2.5 month span. So this is the recap show. So we're going to be going through all of the 10 tips that we went over. And going forward, we're going to start talking about performing in front of an audience. But right now, we're doing a recap of the first 10 tips. And this was all about your voice, your talent. So tip number 1 was for you to start singing. As you see, I have some people in the background, but you know, I'm outside here at beautiful Battery City Park. It's a lovely, lovely evening. We got some children playing in the background, but they're just having a fun. They're enjoying this beautiful weather on the water. It is gorgeous. So anyway, tip number 1 was for you to start singing. Just start practicing, just learning songs, because the only way you're going to get better is for you to sing. You got to sing as often as possible. Even if you can't sing every day, you have to sing as often as possible. Hi, how are you there? So number 2 was to warm up your voice. So this was for you to practice good vocal care, because it's very important for you to warm up your voice before you sing, before you practice. And also I like to start with an easy song after I warm up my voice before I get into anything complicated, and that just kind of warm things up. Like when you exercise, you stretch first. It's kind of like stretching out your voice and just making sure that things are in order. Hi, I got a heart there. Thank you. That's so sweet. Number 3, the third show, it actually wasn't a tip. It was actually a Prince tribute. And Prince was an example of an all-around artist. Prince was a musician, he was a singer, he was a performer, he was a writer, he was a producer, he was a businessman, he had his own label. He had an online label before that was even heard of or thought of, and he was successful. So it wasn't even like he just did it and failed. He was successful. He made millions of dollars on his own that he kept. So that was the third show, or I put tip, but third show was the Prince tribute. And I guess you could say it was a tip, because it was a tip in terms of what we're all striving for as artists. The 4th tip was to establish a rehearsal schedule. And the great thing about that is it helps you. It just, you know, anytime you're consistent, you become better. So it just makes you better to have a consistent rehearsal where you're warming up your voice, you're practicing your voice as often as possible. You know, if you work an extra job or whatever, even if it's once a week, but if you do it consistently, you're going to get better. The 5th tip was to build your repertoire. So it was kind of like a continuation of setting a rehearsal schedule. So once you have your set schedule, this is what you do at your set schedule. You start building lists, which, like for instance, you have a set list that's like jazz tunes, or you have a set list of lounge tunes, or you have a set list of party favorites. So you'll be able to do any kind of gig. If you get hired for a wedding, you get hired for an event, you'll have so many songs under your belt that you will be able to, you'll be in demand. Because if they say, oh, hey Benita, can you do this wedding, and it's a certain type of wedding, we want this kind. For instance, I was hired to do a disco show. So I had a set of disco songs that I had learned, I already knew. So all I had to do was show up and just do it. So hi Sterling, how are you? So that is what that was tip number 5, build your repertoire. So I see we have some people come in. I just wanted to let you know what I'm doing here. This is me, New York vocalist Benita Charles, and this is Singing Tips, and this is a recap show. So this is a show where we're gonna go over the 10 tips that I gave previously, because those 10 tips were all about your talent. The next tips we're gonna going forward is gonna be about actual performing. So we're doing just a recap of the 10 tips that we previously talked about. So let's just go through 1 through 5 again, since we had some new people. So the first tip was for you to start practicing, start learning songs. The second tip was for you to warm up your voice, which is good for vocal care. The third tip was a Prince tribute, and Prince embodied everything that as a performer that we're striving for. He was a writer, he was a singer, He was a musician, he was a producer, and a businessman. He had the first online record label successfully after he left Warner Brothers, among other things. I mean, he's done, his career has expanded, years. But these were some notable things. Number 4 was to establish a rehearsal schedule, which will make you consistent in terms of building your voice, which goes into the next tip, number 5, which was build your repertoire. So that's creating set lists so that you can have an arsenal of songs. You can when you're hired for a gig, you'll be able to do any kind of gig. You'll be able to do weddings, events. You'll be in demand because people will want you because you know a lot of songs. So tip number 6 is take care of your voice. So proper vocal care, not talking, not yelling and screaming and damaging your voice. And if you do talk excessively, or if you had a loud evening, you take the next day to rest your voice. So that's practicing good vocal care, because this is your instrument. This is your money maker, and you want to make sure you don't strain your voice, you don't overuse your voice. So that was tip number 6. Tip number 7 was share your gift to the world. This is why you're doing this. You're making music to make people happy. And if you know, in today's times, we need to be happy. We need healing. So that's what you're doing. So that was tip number 7. Tip number 8 was write your own songs. Become a songwriter. You never know what you have inside. Your experiences, you can draw from movies or television, things you've seen, talking to people, other people's experiences. But one of the things that writing your own songs did for me was it helped me even with my cover songs, because when you write your own songs, it's from scratch. You don't have a point of reference. So you learn how to develop your own style from that. And then you can take those cover songs and you can make those songs your own. So that was tip number 8, write your own songs. Tip number 9 was to find a certified voice teacher, someone that can help you take your voice to the next level. It's great to practice and do things on your own, but a professional teacher will help you with breathing techniques, will help you with expanding your range, and all of the things that will help you be a professional singer. So that was tip number 9. And the final tip last week was for you to learn a musical instrument. It's not a prerequisite, it's not a necessity, but it's good if you know music. It will help you when you sing. Because when you're doing ad-libs and you're reaching for different notes in your head, if you know music, you'll find the right note that fits within the chord. And it will give you a greater understanding of the songs you're learning. It'll give you a greater understanding of music. And you want to continue to learn and grow. So that was tip number 10. Learn a musical instruments. So these were the 10 tips in the talent segment of becoming a professional singer. So I hope that these tips are helpful to those of you out there that are wanting to be a singer or know someone that wants to be a singer. I have all this archived on YouTube, so if you missed any of the other shows, you can go on my YouTube channel. I have a playlist of all the singing tips, and so it's divided into different sections. This section was all about talent. It was all about, this is your product. You are the product. This is your foundation. So everything that we go on from here is building upon this foundation is your talent. This is what people, when they hire you, they want someone that's talented, that can sing. And all these tips will help you as a professional singer. So I don't see anybody, well, I do have some people, some hearts and some thumbs up, but I don't see anybody saying anything. Or do you agree with me? I know I have an artist on here. Do you agree with these tips? What do you think? I'm just curious to know how you guys feel about this. I want to show you this view again. I'm at Battery City Park by the water. It is absolutely incredible. Look at that. It's a beautiful evening. Isn't that great? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, these were the 10 tips for your talent. Now, if you missed these tips, I'll go through them one more time. So just to let you know what I'm doing, I'm a New York vocalist, Benita Charles, and these singing tips were designed to help beginner singers. I had so many people come up to me and they want to be a singer, but they don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. They don't know how. So I thought about my experiences and I thought, maybe I could put something together. So that's what this singing tips was all about. It's just helping people from ground zero become a professional singer. We are in the talent section. This is the first. Hi, cousin. How are you? This is your foundation, your talent, your voice, your singing. You are a singer. Hi there. Thank you, Miss Garcia. How are you, darling? People are hiring you because, hi, Cleotis. You finally got into one of my singing tips. So people are hiring you for your talent. So that's why these previous 10 tips was all about your talent. So I see we have some new people that came in. So I'm going to go through the tips one more time. So tip number 1 was for you to start singing. It all starts with your voice. It all starts with the song. So tip number 1 was for you to start learning songs. That's the only way you're going to get better. That's the only way you're going to build from here. So tip number 2 was warm up your voice. Just like you warm up your... Hi, Jennifer. How are you, darling? Blessings to you, too. Tip number 2 was for you to warm up your voice. So you're singing and all that, but you got to practice great vocal care, because if you don't take care of your voice, it's going to go out on you, and you don't want that. Just like when you exercise and you stretch and you warm up your muscles, you warm up your voice. Tip number 3 was a Prince tribute show, and Prince embodied everything that we as artists are striving for. He was a singer, he was a musician, he was a songwriter, he was a producer. He had the first online record label before anyone else thought to do that, and he made huge money. All of the profits he kept himself. When his contract with Warner Brothers, when they were trying to strangle him, he decided, okay, you have my name, but I'm going to record outside that name. And we didn't know what to call him. We were calling him, the symbol? We were like, oh, what is it? What's his name? But he was smart enough to still record. Anyone else would have curled up and died in a corner and just says, oh, it's over. Prince didn't do that. So that was the 3rd show, was the Prince tribute. The all-around artist. We love him, we miss him, and we still have all his music. I heard there's even more music, so I can't wait to hear that. Hi, Danny. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're liking these singing tips. I'm just trying to share the knowledge that someone helped me along the way, and I'm just trying to help these young singers along the way. So tip number 4 was to establish a rehearsal schedule. So that's where you build your consistency. When you establish a rehearsal schedule, you can naturally get better, because you're going to be practicing all the time. And consistency is the key. All of you know who exercise, you know that the most important thing with exercising is doing it every day. And I keep equating that because it's similar. You have to be consistent. Number 5 was build your repertoire. So you've gotten your schedule. Now what do you do in that schedule? You build your list. You have your Motown songs, you have your disco songs, you have your ballads and lounge songs. So when someone hires you for a wedding, you'll be able to do a 3-hour wedding because you got an arsenal of songs. And that's what that tip is all about. Tip number 6, take care of your voice, which kind of goes back to tip number 2, which is warm up your voice. So you don't want to overuse your voice because this is your instrument. This is your golden ticket. This is what you use to make your money. So you're gonna be careful. You're not gonna scream and yell all the time. And if you do have a night where you're overusing your voice, you're gonna rest your voice. And in that show, I told the story of Stephanie Mills. I love her. I know a lot of you know who she is. I heard, now I don't know if this is true, you know how you hear things, but I heard that she rests 14 hours before a performance. So, I mean, I don't have that luxury. I think that's awesome. Can you imagine getting 14 hours and then just performing? And every time I've seen her, she's always been flawless. So I know it works. So that was tip number 6, take care of your voice. Tip number 7 was share your gift to the world. You owe it to the world. If you have a song in your heart, if you have a written song that you want to release, if you have a song that you love, a cover song that's one of your favorite songs, you can bring your own flavor to that, your own spirit to that. But the world needs it. We need it now more than any time. We need healing music. We need people to make us feel good. So that was the tip number 7, share your gift to the world. Tip number 8 was write your own songs. And Cleotis, that was your suggestion. I'm glad you're on here. So tip number 8 was write your own songs. And one of the great things that I said about writing your own songs, it helped me do covers better. Because when you write your own songs, it's from scratch. Like, you don't have a record you can put on and listen to. You got to come up with the melody. You got to come up with the music and all of that. So when I approached cover songs after being a songwriter, I was able to give my own flavor to the cover songs. I tell you, the master of that. You all remember the great Luther Vandross? He was the master of taking a cover and making it his own. I mean, he was, I love Luther, but Luther did that so masterfully that there were times when I heard the original song and I thought, oh wow, I thought that was an original Luther song. I mean, he was really great at that. That's a perfect example of that. So tip number 9 was find a certified voice teacher. Oh, cuz, come on. You said I could be famous. Tip number 9 is find a certified voice teacher. So all these things that we've been talking about building on, a certified voice teacher will help you with vocal technique, will help you in terms of the proper way of breathing, will help you in terms of expanding your range. Okay, I'm getting a message from Facebook that my connection is weak, so I may get cut off. Hopefully not. I hope I don't get cut off. But so let me speed it up. So find a professional voice teacher. Now, when I studied opera, I learned some wonderful